Jesus.
S&P 500 program trade buy level 1.
It's your wake-up call, pal. Go to work.
This podcast is brought to you by masterclasstrader.com. There you can learn professional level trading styles such as trading with depth of market or trading longer term commodity spreads. Check it out. Now, if you're interested in a 20% discount on any of the courses, type in Trading with GB as your little discount code thing at the checkout. Trading with GB will get you, all one word, Trading with GB will get you 20% off any of the courses. All right? Not too bad. Let's get on with it. Okay, now it's been a while since I've had one of these podcasts. It's been it's been a weird time here in Australia. I'm in the southeastern side of Australia, which is where it's bushfire central, you could call it. And it's been a little bit hard getting my head around getting back into writing and recording, and so I haven't had a podcast for a couple of months now. Right now we're moving towards past the halfway mark for summer, and so it feels like, maybe fingers crossed, that we're just passing the bushfire season, or the season's passing us. There may be more to come, I don't know. Suffice to say, my suburb was hit. We evacuated twice, and the third time by that stage, I was far better prepared. I felt I knew what to do, that I could protect the house and so on, so we stayed put. But fortunately, the fires didn't reach the house. They were about a few hundred meters away. A lot of people did lose their houses, and it feels a bit crude using this subject as a podcast. But I was one of the lucky ones, you could say. But there are everyone has a story around here at the moment. And my point is that it's a somewhat surreal kind of feeling. You know, I've traded through big events in the market, 9/11 being, of course, the biggest one. And it's a very surreal feeling at the time. You don't know how to get back into the swing of things. And same here. People keep saying it's very surreal, isn't it? And it kind of is, because you drive down the street and you do see shops and houses that that used to be there that aren't there anymore, and they're by the grace of God, as they say. So it's a kind of strange thing, and it sends you into a different place in terms of your mindset and your productivity. You know, what you can do. When do you get back to work? How do you get back to work? You know, those kind of things. Now, this relates to what I want to talk about today. Years ago, I wrote a short course, a 6-part kind of exercise program, if you like, for your brain. I had it on the tradingcourses.com site. A few of you are subscribers to that. I'm going to put it up on one of my sites. I'll put it up on guybauer.com. There'll be a link from the homepage. I haven't put it up there yet. But I'll give you the PDF for free. Download it, read it. I'd like to hear back from you to see how you go with it. Perhaps experiment with it for the next month or so. I'm going to, and I'll explain all of that in a minute. But download it, experiment with it, come up with a few better suggestions for it. You're welcome. It's going to be free. So I'd love to get some feedback for it. I know the weakness in what I originally wrote. It's funny, you know, as a writer, once in a while you'll go through your old C drive and say, oh, I wrote that, 5 years ago or 2 years ago or 15 years ago or whatever it is. And you go and read it and you think, what was I thinking? I mean, not necessarily it was something stupid written, but you kind of think, it's a bit, that doesn't sound like me, or that's, that kind of thing. It's a weird thing. Anyway, like so what I want to talk about is a short course I wrote called Morning Rituals, the Trader's Guide to Getting Your Shit Together. It was a 6-part course. It was based on a book that I read, and I referenced that book in the PDF when you download it. I suggest you go buy it. It's a good read. But I applied what that book was teaching to the trading world, to individual traders. And it's something that the way I wrote it, the reason that I don't love it is because it was very time intensive. What I was suggesting would take up an hour, 45 minutes to an hour of your time each and every morning. And I know some of us traders do have short attention spans, so from time to time. So it may not be what looks good on paper is probably not a particularly practical kind of thing. So when I say, here's the course for free, download it, have a read, see what you think, go away and practice with it. Don't just send me your ideas when you think of them straight away, but go away and try and see what works for you, because I'd love to adapt it into something that other people think is far more practical. Right? Get some good ideas and crowdsource ideas, if you like. I hate that term, but anyway. So as I said, the course is called Morning Rituals, The Trader's Guide to Getting Your Shit Together. It was a six-part course. That is, it had 6 things you could do each morning, spend 5 to 10 minutes on them. Those things are designed to get you in the right headspace, the right level of productivity, the right level of focus, and so on. So let me go through all of them. And as I said, I'll give you the download link. Well, it's just going to be on guybauer.com. I haven't created the link yet, so I'll put a link on there somewhere and you can find it. Guybauer.com. So the 6 things that you'd go through and spend a little time with. Number 1 is meditation. Number 2 is affirmations. Don't write these down. I'm coming back to them. 1, meditation. 2, affirmations. 3, visualization. 4, a little bit of reading. 5, a little bit of writing. And 6, some exercise. Now, I can't say I'm perfect at all of those. I know all about them, but I can't say I'm great at them. And I think I probably, a lot of people fit into the same kind of category. But anyway, let's go through them. Meditation, it's not something you really associate with trading, but it's an interesting subject, right? So when I started looking into this, I made a list, and you'll see this in the ebook as well, of all the people that credit meditation to their, for their productivity and their mindset and all of that kind of stuff. People like Steve Jobs, Madonna, Mick Jagger, Jeff Bridges, The Dude, Martin Scorsese, Eddie Vedder from Pearl Jam, Flea from the Chili Peppers, Howard Stern, Sir Paul McCartney, all of those you can imagine them doing. There's also Clint Eastwood and Oprah Winfrey. I don't imagine Clint Eastwood meditating, but I could be wrong. But all of those people meditate regularly, or are said to meditate regularly, and benefit from it. Ray Dalio, the manager of the biggest hedge fund in the world, a really interesting guy. There's a great little video on how he thinks and how the business he runs things on YouTube. That's another story altogether. But the benefits, they say, of meditation: increased attention span, increased immunity, better metabolism, reduced stress, and improved sleep. I could do with improved sleep. Better brain function and overall well-being. It's not a hippie thing. I know when you see it on the movies, it's more a hippie thing. It's not a hippie thing. I don't think so anyway. But the idea is, if you've never done it before, meditation. When I was first writing this course years ago, I was in an office with a trader mate of mine, and he said, but what is meditating? Is it just, if I close my eyes for 3 seconds, am I meditating? And I'd say the answer's no. I reckon some people might say the answer's yes, depending on what the outcome of those 3 seconds are. But the idea is to find a place that's comfortable. We're going to do this, well, the course says do it for 10 minutes. Right? 10 minutes is not hard. Try it for 5 if you like. Find a place that's comfortable. Sit comfortably. Close your eyes and breathe deeply. The goal of it is to think of very little, right? But your mind's going to wander. Everyone's mind wanders, but that's the challenge, is to stop your mind wandering. And there's some tips there in the ebook on how to stop your mind wandering, and they work. Just try them. So that's number 1, meditation, 10 minutes. Number 2 is affirmations. Now, as I put in the ebook, affirmations are those things you often see in movies, often comedies, as the guy standing in front of the bathroom mirror kind of saying, I'm a winner, I'm this, da 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 da. And that's kind of making fun of the whole thing. But when I was researching affirmations, I did find one guy that did it quite a lot. And in fact, he did it publicly. Muhammad Ali. I am the greatest, all of that. I mean, he was a walking affirmation, right? And apparently, according to some place I found online, he said, it's the repetition of affirmations that leads to belief. And once that belief becomes a deep conviction, things begin to happen. Whether or not he said it, it kind of makes sense, right? You can't always believe online quotes, who knows? But it's an interesting quote, even if he didn't say it. But it sounds like something he'd say. In the ebook, I've got a whole list of things that are trading-related affirmations. I think I have about 100 of them or 80 of them. Things you can say to yourself. I mean, the fact is, we already say things in our mind anyway. Often it can be negative talk, that little voice in your head that says things. So the whole concept of affirmations is to, why not turn it on its head and make them positive things? It kind of makes sense, right? So check out the ebook, which says you can read these, you can create your own, you can read 20 per day, you can read 10 per day, 5 per day. I'm talking about one-line statements, okay? Things about trusting your judgment, things about being in tune with the market, things about seeing opportunity, that kind of stuff, things about making the right choices and being positive about things, right? No one ever said being negative was a good thing. Maybe someone did, I don't know. But they were being negative at the time. So that's the second one. So we've had meditation first, affirmation second. Third one, visualization. All right. Now, a lot of those self-help books talk about visualization. That makes a lot of sense. Now, I've seen this example used a whole bunch of times. Where that back in the 80s, Jim Carrey, the actor, wrote himself a check for $10 million and dated it in 1995 and wrote on the back for services to acting or something like that. Put it in his pocket or put it away somewhere. And then, of course, in 1994, he made Dumb and Dumber and was paid $10 million, apparently. I don't know if that's a true story, but it's a good one. There's another quote I have on there in the book, which says, Jack Nicklaus, the golfer, said, I never hit a shot, not even in practice, without having a very sharp, in-focus picture of it in my head. I mean, that's a terrific example. Another example, I'll tell you a great example, and I should have written about this in the book, but I guess I didn't think of it at the time. But back in 2000, I was lucky enough to go to the Sydney Olympics, to a few events in the Sydney Olympics, and one ticket I had was for the men's 100-metre finals. And I was very lucky to be sitting, it was, I think, the second or third row back from the starting line for the men's 100 metres. And I was probably a few metres forward so I could see them all getting prepped and all of that kind of stuff. And what I found fascinating is that almost all of them were oblivious to the other people around them. Completely, I mean, they're competitors, not just the crowd, but they're competitors, right? They weren't looking at them, they weren't acknowledging them, anything like that. They were looking at the end, right? They were looking at the end of the 100 metres, which it was fascinating to watch these guys so massively focused. They were visualising what they were about to do. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was the best part of the whole. I think I went to about 6 events in the Sydney Olympics, the great events. But just watching these guys prepare to essentially go into battle was just brilliant. They were visualizing, right? So, as I said, download the book, have a read, and there's a bit more on visualizing there. The course suggests 5 minutes on just sitting, focusing on what you want. Now, don't do that while you're meditating. Remember, the goal of meditating is to not think of anything. The goal of affirmations is to focus on the things that are important, and the visualization is seeing them happen, right? So that kind of flows. Part 4, reading, simple one. It's so easy for us to focus on our phones now rather than reading. And reading's hard, I know it sounds like a stupid thing to say. It's not hard, but it's hard to stay focused while reading now that we're used to. I read my news on my phone, as a lot of people do. I don't get into social media or anything like that, but I do read news apps and occasionally, YouTube news and analysis posted on there and so on. But I don't read as many books as I used to. And it's hard to get in that practice. Now, funnily enough, on BBC News, on the app, just a few weeks ago, I read an article about a woman saying, a psychologist, I think she was, talking about how to get back into reading. And she said the focus is, although the approach is to just spend 20 minutes a day, pick up a book, turn everything else off, including the little beeps that your phones make, and focus on reading. Now, my course suggests do 10 minutes because I'm trying to squeeze in a practical morning. It's up to you. I'll talk about a variation of this course at the end, by the way. But we're up to part 4 there. Number 1, meditation. Number 2, affirmations. Number 3, visualization. Number 4, spend 10 minutes reading. That takes us up to half an hour. The next, and this is one that I really believe in, the next part is writing. Now, I know that throughout my career, there have been times when I've been highly effective and productive and other times where I've been the complete opposite. Now, I can also tell you that those times when I've been highly effective and productive are when I have been writing things down, planning things properly. I have a day to a page diary where I write what I'm doing, what I'm planning to do, tick them off, all of that. At the start of the week, I'll go and plan the week in advance. Right, and say on Wednesday I'm doing this, on Friday I'm doing that, on Sunday I'm doing this, and then give myself at the end of the week a score. Right, and it's getting a little bit on the anal kind of end of things when you do stuff like that, but that really worked for me, and that was me figuring out what worked for me, and guess we all have to do it. But that's number 5 of the course is writing and planning, and in the ebook there I've got a plan of the way I have done things. I won't say I do it every week in, week out, but there is a plan there. Okay, so that's 5. The last one is exercise, or just moving yourself, doing a bit of yoga, stretching, exercise, that kind of thing. I'm not great at that. Well, I go through phases, I suppose, like a lot of people. I go through phases where I'm great at it, and then other phases where I'm bloody awful. But that's number 5, and that kind of, number 6, I beg your pardon, and that gets you kind of moving and active, and the blood flowing and all of that kind of stuff. And even while you're exercising, you think about what you've just recently done. So look, that's 1 through 6. Let's do it again, right? So we went number 1, meditation, 10 minutes. Number 2, affirmations, 5 minutes. 3, 5 minutes of visualization. 4, reading, researching. If you're a trader, look up a new technique. I don't mean listening to the news or anything like that, but read something educational. Number 5, writing things down, planning. Being particular, if you like. I won't call it anal, being particular. And number 6 is exercising, actually moving your body. Now, those 6 things in the course, I've said takes, 10, 5, that's 20, 30, 35, 45 minutes. In practical terms, I think that's too long. Okay. An alternative might be doing 1 or 2 of those things per day and mixing it up, So on Mondays, you're doing your writing, you're planning your week. On Tuesdays, you're doing your, mix it up however you like. What I'm interested in hearing, if you manage to download this book and do it, spend a few weeks doing it, shoot me an email back and tell me what variations work for you, what you've done. I'd be very interested to hear. and maybe I can update this course again and we can do another podcast about it and talk about it. But for now, that's it. There's a couple of other references in there that I suggest you read. There's a really good book called Power of Focus I read years ago. I think it must be 20 years ago, I think. That's a terrific book on focus and being in the right mindset. And that gave me some ideas for some of this stuff too. But there's a couple of books there worth reading. But at the very least, what is it? I'm just looking at it now. How many pages have I got here? About 30 pages, and it's kind of spread out stuff too. But we've been recording for about 20 minutes so far, so I think it's you'll be able to run through it pretty quickly. So have a read. As I said, download guybauer.com. Download, see what you think, and let me know. I'm really interested to hear what you've done with it, and if you can adapt it and make it your own and be more productive. Okay, we're going to wrap it up. Remember, this podcast is brought to you by masterclasstrader.com. Check it out and use the discount code tradingwithgb for a 20% discount off the courses on masterclasstrader.com. Until next time, trade well.